Hi, welcome to another video of GeoSpinach. Today we're going to discuss about the devastating effect that a surprise armor attack can have on an infantry brigades in an open plain that's not protected by natural geography and there are no man-made entrenchment positions. We're using this, the basis of the video I made prior, where the black team has launched its offensive on the point of these two brigades, and we're going to focus in specifically to these brigades to see how they collapsed in the front line. So for the red team, again, don't forget the fog of war. Fog of war is very, very important here. Now, here we have the various regiments, the various battalions, across the front line. So these units do not expect any attack. So their idea is that they will just march onto the offensive. So just push in on the enemy, so they do not know what's happening. And on the other side, you have the black team that may have know a bit of information, but they're not just sure. Before we start, the X shows reinforced infantry, not just infantry units. The one with the circle, armor units, the two lines, mechanized infantry with a bit armor support. In the center with a bullet thing is the artillery pieces, the artillery battalions, and the ones with the triangle are the anti-tank. I didn't bother to draw the anti-tank of the black team, but you will assume they have it integrated with their infantry. Now, the first stage is the idea that the heavy infantry will try to pin down the enemy's infantry, so they will launch in massive assaults across the front line. The infantry of the red team is not prepared for those assaults, so they do not have dug in defensive positions to cause massive casualties, so they will just go into a very quick mass slaughter, and at the same time you concentrate all of your armor and you try to push in. In this scenario, again, we assume there is no air power following on the previous video. So while they manage to push in, we come to a scenario such as this. So the brigades of the red team has suffered quite a lot of casualties, especially in the areas here and here. In the rest of the battlefield, they gradually retreated without engaging very severely with the enemy, and they try to bring in as many forces as they can. But they are heavily outnumbered to begin with. Now, the plan now for the black team is to complete the encirclement. The main objective is to limit the casualties of their armor as much as possible, because they're going to need that armor later on the exploitation phase. So their goal now is to completely disorganize the defendant by focusing on its HQ as well as focusing on destroying the enemy's artillery. And even if they do not know where the artillery is, the idea is just to push through in, completely disorganizing and demoralizing the enemy. This is going to be achieved by a two-pronged assault, one from the north with their armored battalions, while their mechanized battalions will create a rear guard action as well as a preliminary assault on the flanks. On the other side, with their armor is going to try to pin down the open exposed infantry, so an infantry with no natural barriers to defend them against very heavy armor assaults and very concentrated armor assaults. And at the same time, with the X's, you can observe the artillery firepower on those positions. So the artillery focuses on the anti-tanks, since now they know exactly what they are, to pin them down. They are getting massively attacked by a lot of armor from all of the sides, and those anti-tanks are not well entrenched. At the same time, their infantry focuses on keeping the position open as the troops to be able to push through in. So as we move into the next stage, we come to a point of some sort of a partial encirclement. So by the time that the red team starts to realize what is happening, it has 4 of its main battalions massively encircled, its HQ very exposed, and the majority of its battalion in the south losing communication or generally not knowing what's happening on the front line, and they will try to do some sort of a breakout. At this point, the majority of the infantry of the black team will focus on eliminating the positions of the red team of their pre-existing pockets on the two sides, while the armor will push in according to the original operation and capturing the enemy's HQ and not allowing reinforcements, and at the same time completing the encirclement. And then we come to a situation like this. Since the units were in an open terrain, they could easily be annihilated, or in most cases they have surrendered. The red team has suffered severe losses over here, and practically the HQ at this point is practically dead. It's under the command of the black team. Now, at this point, the units over the red team will surrender because we have nowhere else to go. They are outgunned, they have no connection to the supply lines, and no pre-existing defenses to hold them. Now, this is a prelude to a video I'm going to make about the importance of defense in depth, which is going to be the next video on how to plan and defense in depth, and why is it important in many cases that even if you hold some ground, to retreat from that ground, even if the enemy doesn't attack you, as to put your soldiers into a more defensible positions. As Rommel said, sometimes it's much more important to destroy the enemy than actually holding some land. I don't remember who exactly said it, but I think it was Moltke. Land is something you can capture later after you defeat the enemy. And that's why it's very important to never allow your infantry to be exposed in open positions, and always have prepared defensive positions, or at least have them as sparse as possible to the point that you can react to various situations. Thanks again for watching, and please like and subscribe.